Hey guys, and welcome to the video. So this week we are going to be doing part 2 of a video that I started a few weeks ago. So I posted a video and it's about a lady on her Slimming World journey. And I will post the video up here somewhere so you can watch that if you haven't already. It's very important to watch that one first. But basically it was an account of her journey through Slimming World. First of all, starting out, losing quite a bit of weight, being really excited, thinking that this is finally going to work, and then ending up failing on the diet. And at the end of the video, she went to her GP and started a diet program from the GP. Now, we don't know what happened afterwards because she didn't post about this. So, side note, this is an anonymous woman. We're not going to reveal her identity. It's not about that. It's about the journey and highlighting why these things happen. So she started this GP diet. Something's happened with that. So if you haven't watched this video, again, go and watch that first because it's important to understand what's happened in the video and why it's happened. So the next screenshot is Slimming World again. So she has started Slimming World again, and she's been stated in the screenshot, she started it for the millionth time. So she's done it a lot of times. And the reason why is because she's now the biggest she's ever been. So we can see there's several problems straight away. And the reason I point these out is because it's so frustrating to see someone making the same mistakes over and over again. And they've even pointed it out themselves. So first of all, a lot of people will do a diet and they'll blame the failure on themselves. So then they'll go and do the same diet again and they'll blame it on themselves when they fail again. And they start doing the same diet over and over again and get nowhere. And you can see she said she's the biggest she's ever been. So the reason that is because of the dieting and the way it starts affecting your mind, the way it causes you to binge, the way you kind of dig yourself deeper and deeper into the hole. And the only way you know how to get out temporarily is do the diet again, but is actually making it worse and worse and worse. And you end up a lot worse off than when you started, which is really sad. So as with any diet, when you start off, she's motivated, she's saying, let's smash this. But to point out straight away, her motivation is coming from what we call the push motivation. So it's coming from her emotional pain of being where she is. She's the biggest she's ever been. So the motivation all comes from the pain, what she doesn't want. Now, there's a big problem with this because as you start to lose weight, you start to feel better. And as you start to feel better, the motivation goes down because you don't feel so bad about yourself. And if you're doing a diet which is impractical, you don't really like doing, then the pain of doing the diet is going to be bigger than the pain of the feeling of hating yourself. So after a little while, habits start to slip back in. And that's what we expect to see in this sequence of events. So let's go on to the next screenshot. So similar to last time, in the first week of Slimming World, she's really happy because she's lost 7.5 pounds. And that's great, always great when you lose weight. Just a side note on why in the week that you begin a diet, you often lose more weight. So when you step on the scale, what you're actually measuring, you're not measuring fat change, you're measuring your whole body. So when you stop eating so much food, there's going to be several differences. So first of all, you're going to drop water weight. You will have less food in your digestive system, so you will weigh less as well. And also, yes, you will probably drop a bit of fat. And that's why in the first week of any diet, you tend to lose more weight because then there's the fat loss added with these other things, which adds up to more. And that's great, but if we think about it, if our motivation is attached to this, then it's not great because we're not always going to lose that amount. So let's have a look at the next screenshot. So second week into her millionth time on Slimming World, as she puts it. So 1.5 pounds off this week. So you can see, like I said before, the second week or subsequent weeks will be less weight loss, but that's still great. 1.5 pounds, that's a typical amount of weight loss. So that's a good amount. And she said she's happy with that. So that's great. So if you imagine, if you had a lot of weight to lose and you were losing 1.5 pounds consistently over time, that would get you to your goal. Rather than what happens with a lot of people where they lose a lot of weight in the first week and then less in the second week And then maybe one week they don't lose at all, maybe then a little bit more, and they start to basically get inconsistent with their diet. They get motivated or not motivated depending on what they're losing, and it makes them slip with their habits and end up eating things they don't really want to be eating, and they end up off track quite a lot and all over the place, and end up putting the weight back on and then doing it again, rather than just being consistent and having your motivation attached to your goal rather than whether you're doing well or not. Next screenshot, and this is going to be the final one for today because we don't know what happened afterwards. And so she has lost another ½ pound, which is good. She writes, "It's okay, I suppose, lol," which you can see that she doesn't really think that's as good. And obviously, like when you compare it to previous weeks, it looks like it's gone down, 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 down. So from 7.5 to 1.5 and now ½ pound. And in your mind, if you are thinking about this, you'd be like, oh, what's going to happen next time? So I can see like why she's saying it that way. But still, ½ pound is good. But it depends on what's happening and what you're eating and analysing certain things. So if you would want more weight loss, it's just about looking at why that didn't happen. So with Slimming World, there's not always a way to do that. So you're counting points and you're going to the meeting, so they may be able to give you some suggestions. But it ends up often being something like, oh, you're eating so much of your favourite foods, eat less of that, which of course then is going to make you more restricted, and it ends up building up in the background for when you do lapse and you end up having a binge, which I won't go into that now, but you end up feeling guilty and end up overeating, etc., etc. So 9.5 pounds off in 3 weeks. Good start, great start, a lot of weight. Now, the thing I want to point out on this post is she said specifically, "I won't be on plan tomorrow." And this is the big thing with diets like Slimming World included, about what we call the perfectionism and all or nothing mindset. So because of how you count points and how you do the diet and the perfectionism around it, you have this mindset of, when I can be perfect, I will do it and I'll be totally on the diet. When I can't be, I won't do it at all. There's nothing in between. There's no grey mindset. It's very black and white. It's, I'll do it when I can. When I can't, I won't do it at all. So she's going somewhere where she feels that she cannot do the diet. So she's already decided, I'm not going to do it. The big problem with that, or there's a couple of problems, if you're on and off the diet all the time, you're not going to get results. But also, on these days where you're off the diet, it gives your brain a chance to then react to it. So what usually happens is, oh, I'm off the diet today, I will make the most of it because I don't know when I'm next going to get the chance to eat these foods, or I really want to enjoy myself. And you haven't learnt the skills, especially on Slimming World, to deal with the grey areas. How do you think about food? How do you deal with choices? How do you work with your mind to not get cravings around certain things when you have a little bit of something? How do you navigate these grey areas and enjoy yourself, have fun, go out and be sociable without knowing what's in the food? So this is the big thing with Slimming World, and straight away you can see the diet is not going to go well for her. Okay, we can see. We don't know what's coming up next. I'm going to do another video on this once we see some more posts, but she's already said, I'm not going to be on the diet tomorrow. So it's sad seeing this because it's another loop of the yo-yo dieting cycle. And the prediction is, yeah, she's going to put some weight back on. She's going to feel bad, but then she'll start again and say, yeah, I'm totally motivated again. And it just goes round and round and round, and you never get to your goal. You get little bits off, then put it back on, little bits off, put it back on. And in that time, you're just depriving yourself. You're building these neural pathways in your brain, which makes the binge eating worse, the emotional eating worse, and ends up every time more and more difficult to get the weight off. You're also building negative belief because every time you fail, you're telling yourself, oh, I failed again, it's my fault. And every time you do that, you're giving yourself more evidence that you're not enough and you're never going to succeed. So I just really wanted to point this out with Slimming World, how someone can believe so much and do the diet over and over again and still think, oh, it's going to work the next time. And I can understand that every time you go into it, you have that motivation and the new belief, but you completely miss the fact or forget the fact that you failed so many times, and don't pin it on the fact that it's the diet, it wasn't you. And every time you are doing the diet again, you are making it worse and even more difficult to get the weight off in the long term. I speak to so many people that when they were their original weight, where they started dieting, they wish they were that weight again now, their original overweight, because the diet has made them so big. They've now got to the biggest they've ever been, and it was the diet process that got them there. And they'd love to be their original overweight, which is probably 1, 2, 3 or more stone sometimes lighter than they are now. So it's really sad seeing the fact that they've tried to help themselves and something's driven them to want to lose weight, and it's actually made them so much bigger and so much more unhappy. So look out for the next video in this series. That's it for now. Comment down below, how many times have you done Slimming World? Have you done Slimming World before? If you have. And what do you think about these videos? Are they insightful? Are they helpful in terms of the process of someone going through a diet? Let me know in the comments down there below. And like if you haven't already, subscribe if you are not already, and I'll see you in the next one.